Hi everyone. For this video we are going to explore the how of learning, which is multiple means of expression. So giving students an opportunity to demonstrate their mastery of a learning objective in their own preferred format. They get to select how they demonstrate their mastery. So we want to make sure that we're varying the methods for response, navigation, and really giving them ownership of the type of modality that they submit their assignment for. If this were a specifically writing course or perhaps a writing across the curriculum assignment, we wouldn't really have that much flexibility on it. It would have to be a written assignment. But if you see variance in the possibilities where a student could upload a podcast or a blog post, an essay, a video of themselves, maybe a voiceover PowerPoint, that would be a great way to open up the possibilities for this particular part of UDL. Another part is tying back to one of the first pillars of UDL is directing students to review the rubric before submitting. So I think a lot of people at Talk embed this in their courses anyway, but that's another concept of UDL that we could be hitting on to make sure that students are understanding all of the requirements and how they can meet them based on the modality that they select. And just like the previous videos, I've linked here the CAS website. So specific to action and expression, you'll see a number of links with all of the checkpoints and examples for each that you could implement in your courses. I've pulled two examples here. One is an education course that was recently redesigned. And this has an assignment switch up. So students are able to select one of the philosophies described here, which is UDL, because they're having an option in their content. And then they also have an option in their submission type. So they could either upload Google Slides, a Prezi, this other tool, PowerPoint. And one thing in particular I liked about this prompt was this description down here. So if it's a paper, it should be this many words in APA format. If it's a PowerPoint, it should be that many slides. And if it's a video, it should be that many minutes. So you want to make sure these are all equitable, which I think this is a great example. And it really gives students more context to wrap their head around what that format might look like in terms of expectations. And then you also want to make sure the rubric is general enough that it incorporates all format types and not just a written assignment. Another example I included is from one of Emily's discussion boards for history. So she has a prompt which has multiple parts in it. And for the discussion, students have a completely open option of how they want to respond. They can either write up a traditional discussion board post, which is fine. They might feel most comfortable in that way. They could make a video using Screencast-O-Matic like I'm doing just now. They might make a visual infographic, which could make sense if there's a lot of data or perhaps a timeline, a string of questions that they wanted to ask. And then maybe a combination. So maybe they make a PowerPoint and talk over it, or they include an infographic and a quick video explaining what that means. In addition to Shirley's example, Emily also has specifics here. So regardless of the format, she wants to make sure that everything has a references page in APA format. So you can't get out of that. It's part of the prompt regardless of the modality that you submit. And it's really important to the nature of the assignment. She also, as you'll see here, be sure to check the rubric regarding responses to your peers. So that's really full transparency on what is expected of the student, and also some possibilities for giving them creative freedom on how they submit it. A couple additional strategies I've included at the bottom is that students should always have a choice in the format they submit. So if you lay out 2 or 3 choices, you don't want to have the rubric rely heavily on one of them. You don't want to try and skew them towards one. You just want to leave a completely open door. Whichever one that you choose, you can submit in that format. As I mentioned with Shirley's example, rubric should always be flexible for all submission types. So if you wanted to include something that's specific in there from the prompt, or you could keep it nice and general and say aligns to the prompt, meets all expectations within the prompt, that kind of thing. And that way you won't have to tailor them too much down the line if you decide to recycle any UDL rubrics. And then again, just going back to that specific context for what is expected for the different modalities is very helpful for the expression portion of UDL. Thanks, everyone.